This is a quick video about the variations and the changes in the Cessna 210s, especially the early years. They went through quite a lot of changes. The 60, first year of the 210, and the 61 are a narrow tapered fuselage 4-seat IO-470 powered plane, which is kind of like a Cessna 180, 185 airframe. Then the 62 and the 63 are basically a fuselage about the size of this fuselage, but with a 182 tail, 182 wings, and an injected 260 horse IO-470 in it. The best years of the early 210s is this plane. Very unique, and not many of them. It's basically a 206. It has plane taking off. These planes have the full 206 wing on them. And you can tell the difference because of the size of the aileron. It's like 18 inches front to back, whereas the 182 is about 8 inches. And the 182 is hinged on the top skin, and it's got very little influence. These are Fry's ailerons. They're hinged in the middle, and they're very authoritative. Plus, strangely, they are shorter by a considerable amount. The wing, from the taper of the wing to here on a 182 is aileron, but on these 210s, it's flap, exactly like a 206. So you've got a much longer flap and a much bigger, more effective aileron on a retractable 206, if you like. The early planes were IO-470s with 260 horsepower, 61, 62, 63. 64, 65, and 66 are IO-470s, IO-520s at 285 horsepower rather than IO-470s at 260 horsepower. So it's up from the 470 to the 520, 285 horsepower, and the bigger flaps and ailerons, and retractable. So this is basically a 206 RG. So from 66, so this model is 64, 65, 66. 67 is the first year of no strut. There's no strut on the wing. And they have an inordinate amount of dihedral. They look a bit strange. Their wings stick very steeply up. 68, they lowered the dihedral. And 69 became the Centurion that we all know as a 210, right up until 1984. And then 84 to 86, they increased the gross weight to 4,000 pounds, and they have extended wings, and those are very rare, very expensive, heavy planes. So that is the differences between the early model years of the 210. So this is the 65 Cessna 210 we were discussing earlier. I just wanted to show you the engine. The 64, 65, and 66 strutted 210s have 520s in them. This is an IO-520, 285 horsepower at 2,700 RPM. It's fuel injected, that's the I. The O is opposed, and then the 520 is the cubic inches of it. You can see the fuel injection lines here. This is a heavy case. You can see the bumps over the back of each bolt. That's called a bumpy backed case. And down here inside, I know it's hard to see, there's 4 diamonds which show the heavy case insignia. So these have a 1700 hour TBO at 285 horsepower, and they were in 210s from 64 till 86, the end of production. Some of them were turbocharged. They went to 310 horsepower, but that was in 78 and newer. So this is a 285 horsepower, and this is what makes this plane so good, because the early planes had IO-470s in them at 260 horsepower. So just to recap, 61 to 63, IO-470, 260 horse, 64, 65, 66, IO-520 with the struts, and then beyond that, no struts. Okay, gear doors, retractable, 210s, and passenger doors, and the years and the models and the variations. So this is a 210. It looks like a 206. This is a 210, retractable. So the nose gear retracts into that bulge in the chin, just straight forward. Gear doors open, wheel up, gear doors close. The mains are a little bit more complex. They've got little doors. They've got a long channel here. They've got this door here that does this. So when you put the wheels up, it all has to open, let the wheel in, and then close. So you need to maintain it. And you'll hear that 210s have unreliable gear. Well, this plane is 55 years old, and it's still working perfectly. So if you look after it, it's not that unreliable. So even though it's a spring steel gear and it looks fixed, this is fully retractable. Okay, doors, human doors on these planes. 205s, and 205s have a longer door down to here that a passenger can actually get in and out of. You could get in and out of this one too. There are 5th and 6th seat in there, but this bit here is because the wheel well is here, so the wheel is sitting up inside here, so there's not much room in the back of it. In a P206, P is passenger in a 206, and P in a 210 is pressurized. So P206s have 2 front doors like a 182, and a single big door back here for humans. In a U206 utility, they have 1 front door on the left side, no door on the right side over there for the co-pilot, but in the back on the other side, this whole area opens 2 double doors, the utility doors. So they made P206s from 1964 to 1970, and they made U206s from 1964 to 1986. And the U is the most popular, but if you have a large family and you don't need the double doors and you want a right front door, you buy a P206. 210s always had a right front door, always had a left front door, and varying baggage doors. So these were on the 6061s were a smaller triangular thing, and then these 64, 65, 66s were just like this, and then on into the single window, non-strutted planes that have the big window here. They've got a baggage door here that kind of opens up and always slams when you let go of it. But so there's a lot of differences in the utility of each plane, and according to what you need, you buy the plane that you need.